Techniques of evaluation. There are two main purposes of evaluation. One is to provide feedback to the learner, and the other is to qualitatively classify, grade a learner on the basis of their learning outcome against a set of norms. Evaluation, hence, is an important decision making situation where a teacher is involved in a judgment. The quality of the decision depends on the quality of the data and the information collected about the learner's learning accomplishments. In turn, quality of data and information depends upon the quality of tools and techniques of data gathering. Hence, tools and techniques of evaluation are important components of the process of continuous and comprehensive evaluation (CCE). Interpretation of gathered information needs to be given in numerical scores, grades, as well as qualitative terms. In CCE, judgments should be made not just on scholastic aspects but also on co-scholastic aspects, which depend to a large extent on the learning ambience and learning culture of an institution. As far as interpretation is concerned, attainment can be measured at different levels with reference to the learners themselves, their current state of progress, strengths, learning gaps, etc. With reference to the criteria, the expected levels of learning, keeping in view the required skills. Tools are primarily instruments of collecting data and information. Questions, observation, tests, inventories, record or document analysis, etc. are tools. Tools in the context of CC require situations for application. Example, observation as a tool needs situation like debating competition, engagement in a project activity, etc. A teacher can observe a student while he is debating or working on a project, assignment, or question in a written exam. Multiple tools can be used for assessment. Similarly, more than one assessment tool can be used in several assessment techniques. In the following pages, we will deal primarily with the tools of assessment set in the context of techniques. Assessment tools can be standardized and non-standardized, which are as follows. Standardized tools. Standardized tools have the attributes of objectivity, reliability, validity, and quality of discriminating between a high and low performer. Different types of validities, example construct, content, and concurrent validity, take care of balance and relevance. Speed is a factor in some tests but not a common element in all tests. Psychological tests and inventories like intelligence and aptitude tests, interest and study habit inventories, attitude scales, etc. have those properties. Non-standardized tools are teacher-made tests, rating scale, observation schedules, interview schedules, questionnaire, opinionaires, checklists, etc. Some of the tools are and techniques are questions. Questions are the most commonly applied assessment tool for finding out what children know, think, imagine, and feel. A teacher in the course of teaching comes to know of learning difficulties in children by asking questions. Questions as a tool are primarily used in examinations. Questions must have some important characteristics. These are: first is objective based. A question should be based on predetermined objective and should be framed in such a way that it tests the objective effectively. Instructions. It should specify a particular task through the instructions. For this, appropriate directional words should be used and structured situations should be given. Scope. It should indicate the limit and the scope of the answer, that is, length of the answer, in accordance with the estimated time and marks allotted to it. Content. The question should assess the same area of content which it intends to assess. Language. A good question is framed in a clear, precise, and unambiguous language well within the comprehension of the students. Difficulty level. A question should be written keeping in view the level of the students for whom it is meant. The difficulty of the question depends upon the ability to be tested, the content area to be tested, and the time available to answer it. Assessing power. A good question must assess between the bright students and the other students. Scope of the answer. The language of the question should be specific and precise so that the scope of the expected answer is clearly or defined. Value points. Value points or marks carried by a question or as a whole and also its subparts should be clearly mentioned. Forms of questions. The form of questions depend on the objectives and the content area to be tested. Some forms are better than the others for testing certain abilities. A good question paper should have the questions based on: first, remembering how many, can you name, who spoke to, what happened after. Understanding. In this, the questions are: how would you explain, who do you think, Can you clarify? Applying. For example, which factors would you change if? From the information given, can you develop a set of instructions about? Do you know of other instances where, etc.? Analyzing. For example, which events would could not have happened? How is dot 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 similar to dot 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 question mark? Why did space changes occur question mark? What was the turning point question mark? What was the problem with space question mark? Evaluating. Is there a better solution to? What are the alternatives? What are the pros and cons of? How effectively are? Do you know? Do you think? Is it is a good or bad thing? Creating. Example, can you design a to? What happen if space? Can you see a possible solution to? Can you develop a proposal which would? Types of questions. The answer may vary from one word to several paragraphs. Such type of questions are also called free response questions. So, supply type questions may be divided into four categories as follows. Essay type question. The term essay implies a written response which is a sustained form of writing. The student is allowed to have freedom with respect to wording, lengthening, and organization of the answer. A distinction should be made between the essay type question used to measure knowledge and essay type question employed to test writing skills in languages, which is called a writing task. There are many abilities which may not be tested through any other form of the question but only by the essay type questions. These abilities are: select relevant facts from the body of acquired knowledge, identify and also establish relationship between various aspects of knowledge, weigh the proof with respect to implications of the gathered information, to organize, analyze, interpret facts and other types of information, to draw inferences, adopt an indigenous or original approach to solve a given problem, defend one's point of view through facts, data, and suitable arguments, critically examine the degree of adequacy, accuracy, and relevance of the available information in a given situation, appreciate a problem at both the macro and micro levels, conceive, design, and suggest new and innovative approaches for tackling a given problem. Constructing essay type questions. Essay type questions usually begin with such terms as discuss, explain, evaluate, define, compare, contrast, describe, etc. Essay type questions are good when the groups to be tested is small and limited time is available for test preparation. It is also quite suitable to test written expression. Short answer questions. Essay type questions suffer from lack of objectivity and reliability, while objective type questions cannot be used for testing certain aspects of growth like the ability to express, summarize, and organize the ideas in a precise manner. Short answer questions are a good via media between the two extremes. If understood and framed properly, they have the advantage of both the objective and essay type questions. Some characteristic of short answer questions are: short answer questions can be used profitably in all tests. It can be used to test almost all the objectives of teaching. It helps students to develop the ability of organizing and selecting relevant facts. It can be scored more objectively than the essay type questions and thereby ensure reliability. These questions help in covering more syllabus because more number of questions can be put in lieu of one essay type questions. This improves the validity of the question paper. Now, very short answer type questions. Characteristic of short answer type questions are: very short answer type questions are those which have one specific testing point and can be marked quite objectively. More content can be tested through these questions and more reliability and validity can be ensured. It helps in testing knowledge of the examinee by asking them to supply a word, phrase, figure, or a sentence which is required for answering the questions. It can be answered in one word or one sentence. It will mostly take 1 to 2 minutes to answer and mark allotted may be 1 mark. Very short answer type question can be used profitably in all the school subjects. Objective type questions. In these type of questions, students have to answer them by selecting the correct answer among the provided choices. These may be divided into alternative response type, matching type, and multiple choice question, etc. Now, observation. Information about a child, their behavior can be collected in natural setting in and outside the class through observation. Other information can be collected through planned and purposeful observation of students during activities and tasks. Some of the advantages of observation technique are given below. Recognize and identify the various aspects of a student's personality development. Recognize and identify the individuals as well as groups. Recognize and identify on a continuing basis at varying time periods. Recognize and identify the student's performance and knowledge based on an on-the-spot record. Over time, a pattern of interest, aptitudes, etc. emerge, creating a comprehensive picture of the students' concerns and risks in observation as an assessment tool. Jumping to conclusions based on one or few observations. Skill of the observer determining what is observed. Lack of sensitivity and objectivity in the way the observation is done. Observation is in one situation and not across time and different activities and settings. Observation can be used as a tool of assessment in a variety of situations. Techniques like debates, elocution, group work, practical and laboratory activities, projects in playfield and school prayer in clubs and festivals can be used, whereas observation can be biased and subjective. Such errors and risk can be substantially reduced by using an observation schedule. Now, tests and inventories. Tests oral should not be used for content or skills that can be tested through written examination. Oral tests, being individual tests, require more time than group written tests. Oral tests are best suited to assess the depths of learning where a student has difficulty in writing expression. Oral tests and examinations allow the learner to participate in the learning assessment process, help to test listening and speaking skills, help to test listening and speaking skills, test certain verbal abilities like fluency, expression, and accuracy, test depths of learning of the students through probing questions. Oral tests also require previous planning. Questions should be predefined and documented by the teacher. The questions should be arranged in order of difficulty. Wherever probing is necessary, probable probing questions should also be written down in advance. For questions, the expected answers, the value points, and the manners of presentation should also be written down. For objectivity, students' answers should either be recorded on a digital or otherwise recorded on paper. Digital recorder or recorded on paper. One simple way out is to check out on the model answer sheet. As a student responds, teacher checks the correct answers and crosses the incorrect answers. This kind of coded recording should be supplemented by brief descriptive notes. Checklist. The concept of checklist has been provided earlier under questions. However, checklist can be used in several other areas of assessment. Example, as a part of life skills. Checklist. The concept of checklist has been provided earlier under questions. However, checklist can be used in several other areas of assessment. Example, as a part of life skills. However, checklist can be used in several other areas of assessment. Example, as a part of life skills, whether a student can dress up neatly suitable to the occasion, or a student can confidently address the students during the school prayer. Checklist is used where answer is either yes or no. There may be possibility of confusion. Checklist can be filled only by collecting the information by observing or questioning or by document analysis. Hence, checklist is primarily an instrument of data recording and documentation. Rating scale. Rating scale is used wherever a response or a learner behavior is likely to be continuum from excellent to bad, or from satisfactory or to unsatisfactory. Anecdotal records derive its origin from the and meaning from the word anecdotes, brief events and episodes. An anecdotal record is the observed behavior of a student. It is a record of some significant episode in the life of a student that sheds light on the conduct, thinking skills and capabilities, revealing significant features and characteristics about his or her personality. Document analysis. Record or document analysis is an analysis is an document analysis. Record or document analysis is extensively used in research. The significance of this technique is with regard to assessment of students on the basis of documents. Example, assignments, projects, journals in science, geography, etc. In a way, this technique is also used to evaluate answers to essay type question. The assessor here searches and identifies the main points, arguments, illustrations, and examples, derivations, and numerals to justify the concept and its explanation. Portfolio. It is the collection of evidences of students' work over a period of time. It could be a day-to-day work or selection of the learner's best piece of work. Painters and commercial artists often use portfolios to demonstrate their skills and quality work before the selection committees. Quizzes, competitions. Quizzes and competition are quite commonplace activities today in electronic media. TV in particular, this kind of assessment usually usually turns out to be joyful. Besides testing the knowledge of the participants, it helps in building collaboration and teamwork in group activities. Assignments. Theme based tasks to be completed or as classwork or homework and can be open-ended or structured. Some could be based on context outside textbook. In this way, our EVS pedagogy has been finished. Thank you for watching.